Now, do you know what a safety wee is? Yeah, but what if we all die? Oh my god, I'm so happy to share this. If that makes you happy, fine. Who am I to judge? People are going in and there's like 4 of them lined up in a room, all getting surgery done by the same surgeon to save cost and whatever. I would rather be called ugly looking like myself than ugly looking like trying to look like someone else. Do you have to be rich to be pretty? Welcome back to the conversation with Erin, with me, Erin. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for coming back to our safe space. This is like our little space to have a little bit of a conversation about anything and everything. There's no topics off limits. I need to be really honest again. Like I said, I'm not feeling great. So I'm gonna try and bring my A game and my best energy and talking points. But like my brain just isn't working. This has been coming out for weeks. Like, I thought I had COVID last week, and this might be COVID. I haven't done a test yet. I need to. But I just feel drained. I can't quite explain it. So apologies if I'm not like, yeah. But I still wanted to film this episode anyway. Quick update. I'm gonna try uploading on Monday mornings. We're gonna see how it goes uploading on Monday mornings. Just because for me, I'm more likely to listen to a podcast in the morning during the week on my walk. And when I was working, it was on my commute. Oh my god, do you know what I saw on TikTok the other day, which blew my mind? Not everybody has a safety wee. Now, do you know what a safety wee is? Well, apparently not a lot of people do, because not a lot of people have them. I'm somebody who has to have a safety wee. So, you get ready for bed, you go for a wee, you get into bed, you get comfortable, you're kind of on the cusp of going to sleep, you wake yourself up, you get out of bed and you go for another wee, even if you don't need to go. Apparently not everyone does this. Every night before I go to bed, I probably wee 3 times. 2 times I probably don't need to go. But when I'm laying there, I get in my head and I'm like, I need a wee. I'm sure I need a wee. But I've just been, no, but I need a wee. And this will be going on like this little inner monologue in my head. Apparently not everyone does this. I just don't understand how you can just go to sleep. Because the minute that thought's in my head, I need a wee. And it was on TikTok, and there was this discussion in the comments, like, that's so weird. There was a few people that did it, but everyone found it so confusing. And I was like, that makes perfect sense to me. Like, I love a safety wee, and I never had a name for it until that TikTok. But yeah, safety wees till I die, always and forever. And like, sometimes you'll go and be surprised, quite a lot of wee comes out. Sometimes you'll go and it will just literally be like a little dribble. But I need to make sure at least something's come out. And if it means I'm sat on the toilet for like a minute before I'm actually weeing, as what I've got to do. How crazy that people don't need to do that. But yeah, let me know if you go for a safety wee. I'm kind of annoyed that I'm not feeling well. I promise this is the last time I'm going to mention it. But I'm supposed to be going out tomorrow night with Kira, and I was so excited. But feeling like this, I'm like, I feel like going out is just going to make me feel more ill. But I'm also like, life's too bloody short. Like, we could all be dead next week. Do you ever think like that? Maybe that's like a anxiety thing. But if ever I say no to something because I'm putting it off for like a week or something, I'm like, yeah, but what if we all die? Maybe that's not a normal thought. It's what I often think, to be fair. I do look rough. Like, I'm so okay with that. Like, the only thing I have an issue with is the jumper colour clashing with the blanket colour. That's my issue. But in terms of the way I look, I'm fine with that. I'd rather look rough and be self-aware of it than look rough and not be self-aware. Like, if I sat here and I actually thought I look good right now, that would be concerning to me. Oh my god, I'm so happy to share this. I've officially finished therapy. It's been just over a year, I think. Yeah, just over a year. And I probably needed it a year before I actually went. But I'm done. And it's wild. Like, I can go back if I want. Like, the door's open. Like, I very much left it with her. Like, I might email her in a few months. It depends how I go. But in my head, I'm treating it as like therapy's done. And that's wild. I just can't believe it. Like, if you told me a year ago I would be where I am now, my mind would be blown. Like, I was having panic attacks every day. I was in such a dark place. And I'm not saying I still don't have a lot of work to do. Like, every day I'm working on my mental health. Every day I have to make a choice to better my mental health, because if I didn't make that choice I would slip. But the fact that I've got here at the start, like the first 6 months of therapy, I was having it every week and it was intense. Like, the sessions were so intense, but I'm here now. I would like to say, this isn't me saying I'm never going to go back to therapy. I probably will. And it might be with her, it might be with somebody else. I think the thing is with therapy, you could have the best therapist, work with them for like a couple of years, but then need to move on with someone else just because... How do I explain this? It's like you can only get so far with that person. Each therapist has a different style, uses different types of therapy, different theories. There's lots of things that inform the way they practice. So each therapist will give you something different. But right now, I'm good on my own and I want to see how I go. It's scary because even though I know she's there, it feels like I don't have my safety blanket anymore. And I feel very much like, even though I've always been in charge of my mental health and in charge of making choices to better my mental health, it's almost like, oh, I really need to make those choices now. Like, it's really down to me. If you have any questions on therapy, I might do a separate episode on it. Please feel free to ask. This is a great time to segue into, I do have TikTok and Instagram for this podcast. They're always linked below. We have a YouTube channel, we have a Spotify. Whatever way you want to stream, you can. They're both video on each. And make sure you follow or subscribe and rate. So if you rate and follow on Spotify and subscribe and like on YouTube, that would be amazing. So, today's topic. This is a bit of a... It could be quite rogue, I don't know. Do you have to be rich to be pretty? No. Okay, I'm getting hot. I'm wearing Christmas pyjamas. So, the blanket's coming off and the Christmas pyjamas are out. It is the 1st of September and it feels very autumnal. Everywhere I go, it's like autumn, 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 autumn. And like pumpkin spice lattes are back. I'm so excited to have a PSL. Like, I hate that I'm such a white girl in that way, but I'm such a white girl in that way. Like, I'm so excited to get my pumpkin spice latte with my little autumnal inspired outfit and post a picture on Instagram. Can't wait. If you've watched any of the episodes or listen to any of the episodes of this podcast, you will be aware that I'm an avid reality TV watcher. Now, if it's reality TV, I will consume it. Like, there's no reality TV that I think that's too low. Like, I've given everything a go. It doesn't mean I've stuck to it, because obviously, like, some things are more your cup of tea than others, but I will give it a go. And because of this obsession, some may say, I have been watching old episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And I mean the before Caitlyn identified as Caitlyn, and as she's transitioning, like season 8 to 10 I've been binging. So it's old school. And they all look so different, but then if you compare that to the first season, they all look so different. Now, I'm not saying they get loads of work done, but obviously I was sitting there thinking, like, if I had their money, how would I look? And I know that sounds weird, but I wouldn't look the way I look now. I probably would look a lot different, whether that was from cosmetic surgery or appointments or whatever, but I can't afford to. Like, there's lots of things I see come up on my phone. I'm like, I really want that done, but I can't afford it. And obviously, when you've got the same money that they've got, you can afford pretty much anything. So I'm very aware that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think everybody is beautiful in their own unique way, but I'm talking about societal standards of beauty when I'm talking about this. I think it's really important to clarify that, because I don't want anyone to think, oh, well, that means she thinks I'm not beautiful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, when we're thinking about societal standards of beauty and the people now who are in the public eye implementing that standard, I'm kind of using them as a comparison, if that makes sense. And obviously, you have the people of these worlds. I'm clearly not one of them. You roll out of bed, you look gorgeous no matter what. You could be sobbing your heart out. You've just seen your dog be squashed by a van and still look beautiful. I'm not one of those people. So I don't suffer with my skin. Obviously, I'm breaking out at the minute, but I get, maybe TMI, but I get blackheads. And I've really struggled to find a product that is good for my skin and good for getting rid of the blackheads. Like, they either, it's really abrasive, but it gets rid of the blackheads, but I know that's like burning my skin barrier, or it's either like meant to be good for your skin, but it does nothing. And I don't have the money just to keep on buying loads of products or go to a dermatologist and them tell me what I should be using. And obviously my skin's not bad enough to like go to the NHS, because it doesn't impact my day-to-day life. And it's so expensive. So like, even to have looked after skin, you need to have some sort of money. So like, that in itself, you see all these glow ups and it's like people like, oh, better your skin, and you see the Kardashians and some of this, oh my god, their skin is flawless. But the amount of money, like, they probably have a dermatologist on speed dial. They could afford any product they want. They can afford to have frequent facials, and it's like their job is to be beautiful, and yet we're supposed to try and be as beautiful as them whilst also balancing normal life, like everything that comes with that, work, friends, family, running a house, feeding yourself, keeping yourself alive, whilst also trying to manage finances and afford it. It's impossible. Yeah, so a lot of that stuff for them is taken care of, like the house stuff. So they only have to worry about looking beautiful because that's what they get paid for. And obviously there are things like wellness. So even for a physical sense with me, I have, obviously I'm chronically ill, and I've read like loads of articles, like acupuncture's meant to be really good, as is lymphatic drainage. And obviously lymphatic drainage is also a beauty treatment because it drains all your fluids so you appear more toned and less bloated. And obviously society says the more toned you are, the more attractive you are, but you can't be too toned, remember that. But it's so expensive. I can't afford that. How am I supposed to afford 40 quid of lymphatic drainage? No, like I just can't. However, people who are extremely wealthy can. They can afford to have all those appointments and try out all the wellness, because that's the thing as well with all the wellness community. A lot of it is, it's not one size fits all. What works for you might not work for me and might work for somebody else, etc, etc, etc. They've got money to try all these products. Remember as well, like a lot of people who are wealthy but who we also look up to in terms of beauty standards are in the public eye, so we'll probably get sent products to them so they don't even have to buy it. They got an endless supply potentially, yet you're supposed to try all these products to find what works for you. But then that's such a waste of money. You could easily spend thousands and it's just a waste just to try and like fit the beauty standards of skincare and wellness. And then obviously you've got like plastic surgery and laser hair removal and waxing and getting your hair done and nails. So I get my nails done. This is the only beauty treatment I get, and it's the only beauty treatment I can afford. I don't regularly get my hair done, and the only other thing I get done is a vitamin B12 jab, and that's for health. It's not for beauty. And so the only thing I get done to try and make myself fit a beauty standard or feel good about myself is getting my nails done once a month. But these people can afford plastic surgery, they can afford the laser hair removal and the waxing. So obviously with laser hair removal you're not getting the razor bumps, it saves time in the long run, it makes you look like a dolphin. I'd love to get laser hair removal, I'm not gonna lie, because for me, with having PCOS, I'm much hairier, so like the minute I shave my chest, hair comes back. And obviously that's a spiral you don't want to get in, but you do naturally get in, because I don't want to have a hairy chest, not really. And because I don't really have much of a cleavage, it's a lot more like visible than it would be if I had bigger boobs. And then moving on to plastic surgery, there's probably lots of things that if I went to a plastic surgeon, like one that the celebs go to and go, how could you make me look subtly more attractive? They probably could, nobody would know. And it's stuff like that that's scary, because you don't realise people have spent that money. So you're trying to strive to this beauty standard that is impossible. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across, like the average person with the average salary, trying to just get through the day, like with food, with running their house, with running a family, with balancing all different types of things, who isn't on the same money as these people. You're never going to look like them, because it's not your job, and you're not getting the extras that they are, like the sponsorships and the freebies and stuff. So I went to a plastic surgeon and was like, right, I would like bigger boobs, but I don't want to look like a page 3 model. I want them to look really natural. I don't want it to look like I've had a boob job, but I want boobs. I'm sure if you go to a good enough surgeon and pay enough money, that would be achieved, and you wouldn't know. You obviously would see a slight difference, but it might be like, oh, maybe she's gone on birth control. And the same with injections, like non-surgical procedures. The Kardashians might sit there and say, oh, we haven't had surgery, but that doesn't mean that they haven't had lots of non-surgical procedures, and they're just as expensive. Like, it's so expensive. And the dangerous thing is, people that can't afford the same money will try and find cheap alternatives. Like, I've heard something horrific. So, you know, a lot of girls and guys go to Turkey for surgery. Well, so much dodgy stuff is happening. People are going in and there's like 4 of them lined up in a room, all getting surgery done by the same surgeon to save cost and whatever. So there's like, no, it's not that very sanitary. There's also organ harvesting. It's terrifying because it's cheaper, people are going there, but there's so much dodgy stuff that happens. It's really scary, and it's because of this pressure. Like, people are feeling they have to do this to fit that beauty standard, whereas all those celebrities that you're striving to look like have managed to go to a private hospital. They're probably paying like hundreds of thousands, but they can afford that, and they can afford like the aftercare, and they don't have to worry about their organs getting harvested. Like, it's terrifying. There are loads of stories. Like, could you imagine waking up in surgery and there's like 4 of you laying on a bed, like getting all the same operation done? Oh no. There's been loads of things with like the fox eye trends and obviously lip fillers and stuff like that. People are going to places and they might not be well trained, or they might be new, or there's so many aestheticians now because obviously there's the demand for it. But sometimes, not always, price does represent quality of care. And I think when you're getting stuff injected into you, you should be very aware of the quality you're going to get. And obviously there's that desperation to be beautiful or to be perceived as beautiful, so that does unfortunately outweigh people wanting to be safe. Feeling good does also make you look good. So all of these people, so they're not just having plastic surgery to look the way they look. They have got probably private health care, so they can just go to the doctor for a blood test or whatever if they're feeling a bit ropey. Most probably have therapy. And I know when I'm mentally feeling well, you can see it. When I'm mentally feeling drained, you can see it. So they've probably got some sort of well-being, life coach, therapist, something to help them. They will definitely go to the gym. They'll either have their own gym or have a gym in their apartment complex, be able to afford a PT. So, and obviously lots of people can afford the gym and stuff now, but even if you can afford it, doesn't mean you have the time to go. But again, they will, because it will be part of their brand to look like that. Supplements cost. So all these things now, because obviously the whole wellness community is so big now, it all costs so much bloody money. So to get it all, you have to pay so much. To go to the gym, it costs money. To have a PT, you have to pay so much. They'll probably have a nutritionist. That costs so much. Some people can't even afford to eat the protein and the veggies and stuff like that because meat costs a ridiculous amount of money now. So it's all little things like that. Like, they're not things that you would necessarily think about when I say, do you think you have to be rich to be beautiful? But those things come into it. Of course they do. And the student isn't going to be able to afford all those things. The single mum of 2 isn't going to be able to afford those things. The NHS worker working 50-hour weeks with really exhausting shifts won't have the time to go to the gym. They're not going to have the time to meal prep. They're not going to have the time to do all of those things that you'd probably have to do to look the way the Kardashians look. I've seen ice baths everywhere. Like, you don't need to buy an ice bath. If you really want an ice bath, just fill your bath with ice cold water and sit in it. Like, it's this need for having the thing that everyone has at that point. You need to have that ice bath instead of just jumping in your own bath. Why do you need to have, like, I don't get it. It's the thing of, like, the marketing of these influencers and these brands are incredible, because the minute they smell a trend coming on scene, they jump. A lot of it is just to like keep up with the Joneses. Like, you see someone doing it, so you want to follow instead of knowing if that's actually right for you. And obviously it's difficult because you can't try and test different things because you might not have the money. Do you actually need it, or is it just that person that needs it? Like, I have B12 because I need it, not because I've seen somebody have it done. If I didn't have, like, Crohn's disease, I probably wouldn't get a B12 jab because it would just be an unnecessary expense. I also think what's really sad about this generation and the idea of beauty is everybody looks so similar. Like, facially, everyone looks so similar. I don't think there's much individuality, and it's because everyone's striving to look like the same few celebrities. Just sad. Like, when you watch programs like Love Island, and it's kind of mainly Love Island, isn't it? They all look so similar. And I know I sound like an old woman saying this, but they do. They all look the same. If that makes you happy, fine. Who am I to judge? Like, look at me. But it just makes me sad that these people feel like they have to look like each other to be beautiful. And I know it's easy to say, because obviously I struggle with how I look. I would rather be called ugly looking like myself than ugly looking like trying to look like someone else. This is what really scares me, is attractiveness is based off trends. There's so many girls that got BBLs when the Kardashians had massive bums, and now they don't. Or you're just left with a BBL, which is a ridiculously dangerous procedure. It's concerning that people get stuff done because of a trend. So, like, if I was to get my boobs done, it's because that's something that I want done, that I've kind of always thought about. I wouldn't be getting it done to fit in with trend. That's why I'd get it quite natural and how I would like boobs to look. But there's so many people that get things done because of a trend, and not just because they're trying to enhance their beauty to feel more comfortable in their own skin. Trends come and go, we've seen it, and they come back. Like, we're back in the skinny girl with a little conflict of body positivity era. It's a really weird era. Like, you could spend a mortgage on trying to look the way that everybody's trying to look at that point, and you nail it, and as you nail it, the trend changes. What do you do then? That's what scares me. Like, what do those people do then? Do they then change again, like spend even more money to try and change it? I'm not against surgery. I'm pro surgery. I think if that enhances your life and makes you feel good and you're not harming anyone else, you go for it. It just makes me sad that it might not be done because that person always wanted to have that done. It might be being done to try and fit a societal trend based off of how some rich people look, which will definitely change. And it's kind of like the power is in their hands. And obviously they don't ask for it. Like, I'm not putting any blame on the Kardashians or celebrities or anyone, because they can't control the fact that people follow them and copy what they do. However, the minute that they make a change, it changes a trend and creates a new trend and kind of cuts off the old trend. So all the people that were living to look like the old trend are left behind. And that just scares me, because I think that's a lot of power to give to people who can afford to change in that way. They can afford to like get everything. So okay, well, I want to look like an hourglass. Oh, but now I want to look like really skinny. So they can afford the nutritionist and the dietitian and the healthcare teams and the PT, so they can lose weight and look like that in a safe way and monitoring their health. While some people, I know from personal and first-hand experience, how it's not always as simple as losing the weight that you need to. And just because you lose weight don't mean you're losing it in a safe way, and don't mean that your body's healthy. And I think we prioritise appearance so much more than our physical or mental health. It's really sad because we are so much more than what we physically look like. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that broadly being attractive is based on financial security and how much money you have? Because even if we look at it, not even like on the extreme scale of like working class compared to the Kardashians, even if you look at it like in school, when I was at school anyway, the children that were on the breadline versus the children who, and I went to a public school like in quite a dodgy area, so nobody was like rich, but the children whose parents could afford to buy them like the Adidas shoes and the Topshop bags and clothes and stuff, there was definitely, looking back now, I think there was a different treatment by like everybody. And it wasn't even that they were they were bullied for not having as much money, but they were more likely to be less popular and things like that because they didn't have the same things as everyone else. And when you look at it like that, that definitely sends a message, I think, anyway. And when I've had conversations with my parents, it's like it was the same for them when they were at school. Obviously, you're not ugly if you don't have any money. That's got nothing to do with it. But in the way that society is structured, if you can afford to buy newer clothes and the in-style branded shoes, and you're carrying like a River Island Topshop bag around school with your Adidas trainers like for PE and all of these things, in my school anyway, you were more likely to be popular than the person who didn't have those things. And I know that clothes, unfortunately, in our society do have some sort of equation to beauty. Like, I know if I went dressed as I am now to the shops, I'm gonna get weird looks because I look like a freak. Whereas if I went dressed in my nicest clothes, I would be treated and looked at a lot differently because everyone would think I would look nicer. Even in the smaller context, I think it has a massive impact. And obviously that's just gonna get more extreme, I feel, because obviously social media, people following trends becomes more and more extreme and more cult-like. Obviously with the cost of living, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. So that's going to have a lot to do with it. I know from documentaries I've watched and stuff, kids are asking for plastic surgery on their Christmas list. So, yeah, I think we're at a very concerning time. And I do think there's a lot of profit being made on individuals' insecurities and the pressure by society to look perfect all of the time. And it's that idea, isn't it, that looking perfect, and you're never gonna look as perfect as someone on social media, because for one, they're showing you the best, but also if they've got millions of followers and millions in the bank, they can afford all of the things I've just prior mentioned to make them and enhance their beauty. Whereas somebody who's working on minimum wage, struggling to feed their family, they can't afford the same thing, but they do have access to social media and they do have access to comparing themselves to that. What do you think? I would actually be so fascinated to know everyone else's views on this topic, on money and beauty and influencers and beauty, because I think it's just fascinating, and it's all to do with human psychology, it's all to do with marketing, and it's all to do with a wealthy versus poor society. What's that called? It's not patriarchal. I don't know, but that's also another thought. It's men that are profiting off these women's insecurities. It's men that are at the head of most of these big beauty brands. It's men that are in charge of social media. It's men that are kind of connecting the strings. And it's men that are kind of creating that. And women just buy into that. And that is the patriarchy. We've been seeing it since day one. I'm not going to comment too much on it because I haven't done any research into it. So I don't want to quote wrong information or whatever, but I think that men in high powered jobs on the tops of the companies of social media and beauty industry also have a lot to do with it. I'm just going to put it out there. But I actually really enjoyed talking to you. So thank you for listening. Please comment on social media or at the bottom of this post, because I would just love to know your opinions. I would love to know how you found this episode. Any suggestions of future episodes would be amazing. Remember, we've got TikTok and Instagram. And yeah, right, so my 3 gratitudes. My first gratitude is I'm grateful for the fact that it feels so much like fall. So exciting. My second gratitude is my dad bought me strawberries. I'm grateful for that. And my third gratitude is for my therapist. She's got me for a lot and I owe so much to her, so I'm very grateful for her this week. And my hope for the future is either the cold fully comes out and I feel terrible for a couple of days and better, or it disappears. I just hope it goes soon. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a conversation with Erin, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.